Yes, I'm talking. No. That's what happens when we. Sometimes we have technical issues. There. Can you hear us now?
Actually, it sounds better without it. It's fine.
Sounds good? We're good? All right. Apologize for the technical issues. Once again, welcome June 23rd meeting. Can we get started with an approval of the minutes from June 23rd? No, not June 23rd. You have the wrong data, Tom. It's June 28th meeting. Oh, it's been a long day. It's June 28th. We just time traveled. Can we get an approval of the minutes for June 23rd?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I will vacate the chair to second the motion.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting miscellaneous reports,
Any comments or questions on miscellaneous reports? Hearing none,
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for appropriation of funds,
So we only have two appropriations on this one. Closing cost and the remaining purchase price for the Fifth Third Bank. Closing, provided this board gives me the authority to do so, would be Thursday. The docket is for $386,631.39. Total price of the Fifth Third building was $418,000. $25,000 had already been placed in escrow. Any comments or questions on appropriation of funds? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for appropriation transfer of funds,
Any comments or questions on transfers? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of approving payment of the regular schedule of accounts for the various funds, moral obligations, and the then and now certificates in the total amount of $386,631.39.
Any comments or questions on the docket? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I will second.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of resolution designating the Scioto County Board of Commissioners chairman as a representative of the board to execute any and all documents to effectuate the purchase and transfer of parcel number 300790.000 and 300349.000 and 31.66.000 and 301070.00 to the Scioto County Board of Commissioners.
If you watched the Portsmouth City Council last night, you will see that they had their third reading to purchase the Fifth Third building and the other parcels connected to that being parking lots. Once we close on this property, this is an exciting project. This is a historic project. This will get the city of Portsmouth in a building and upgrade their facilities and all city functions there at the Fifth Third building in the middle of Portsmouth. And it'll vacate their older building to potentially be sold and redeveloped. The reality is, with all the moving parts on Chillicothe Street, in very short order, we'll have two, if not three, different multi-million-dollar projects happening on Chillicothe Street, literally during the same time frame. I think the city of Portsmouth council and city manager Sutherland, they have been great to work with and chat with, and we're able to help them in this manner by purchasing the property for $418,000, but then giving them some grace to pay it back over 10 years with no interest. This frees up some of their funds, one, to help them get off fiscal caution, but also to renovate that space and to get their folks into the space sooner. So thank you, City Council. Once again, this is a big deal for Scioto County, for Portsmouth, and really what it means for economic development on Chillicothe Street and moving all that additional action to the center of town, and then of course also with the city coming off the Martins building to be developed by a private developer to be announced. Once those transactions take place, there's a lot of positive happening on Chillicothe Street, plus it's getting paved. So, very many good things, but this would allow me to execute the documents on June 30th to finalize the purchase for the county for the Fifth Third building and the connected parcels. Any comments or questions?
No, sir.
All right, with that, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
And I will second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of notification from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control regarding First Stop, Lucasville.
This is a notice from the Ohio Liquor Control for permit type C1, C2, has the permit number. This is for the First Stop. The DBA is Lucasville First Stop on 104. This is a renewal, correct?
Yes.
And it is a request to not have a hearing. Any comments or questions? Hearing none,
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of resolution directing Commissioner Brian Davis on behalf of the Board of Scioto County Commissioners to submit an application for fiscal year 22 Community Development Block Grant Funds to the Ohio Development Services Agency.
This will authorize Brian to do our CDBG grant. Am I saying that right? Feels like I'm tongue-tied. To submit the grant dated for today, so he'll be submitting that later tonight. And this is one of those grants. One of the things we fund through this will be the Golden Bears, which we consistently do, and some other projects. Any comments or questions? Hearing none,
Motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of resolution adopting the anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan as required by Housing and Urban Development for Community Development Block Grant Funding.
This item is connected, this is something we have to do every 5 years to be eligible for the CDBG funding. Any comments or questions? Hearing none,
Motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of purchase contract between the Scioto County Commissioners and Interstate Gas Supply Incorporated for electricity supply regarding the Sheriff's Department.
This is purchase contract with the Scioto County Commissioners, Interstate Gas, for electricity supply for the Sheriff's Office, located at 1025 16th Street, in the amount of 0.1335 per kilowatt hour for the month of July. This will give the Sheriff's Office a month short-term agreement to potentially look at other service providers in terms of rates to see if there's potential savings. Any comments or questions? Hearing none,
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman,
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Scioto County and Randall C. Mullins for architect services regarding renovations to office space for OSU Extension and the Clerk of Court's title office.
This is the agreement with ourselves and Randall Mullins. He's been looking at and giving us some estimations for engineering as we move the clerk's office over to where the health department used to be in the courthouse. And then also as we build out the Fifth and Court building for the OSU Extension. We've talked about that project a little bit already. That will provide them additional space for their staff. It'll provide meeting space and training space for 4-H, for the food safety programs, the many different things they offer, plus better access to meeting space throughout the evenings, which seems to be a barrier for them. So these are two different projects, and the engineering connected to both of those. For the architect services for the courthouse, it's $14,400. Wait a minute, let me back up. For the renovations of the office space at OSU Extension, it's $14,400. For the architect service and renovation for the Clerk of Court's title office, which is on the second floor, that's $12,520. Any comments or questions? Hearing none.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Powell?
Aye.
In the matter of agreement between Medford Local School District and the Sauter County Sheriff regarding school resource officer.
This is a resource officer contract between the sheriff and Medford Local Schools. This is secure learning environment for students, faculty, staff, and school community by means of assigning a Sauter County Sheriff deputy to serve as their school resource officer or SRO on a regular basis to the school district buildings and or the school district grounds for a period of 6 months, and that starts July 1, 2022, and this agreement terminates on December 31st, 2022, and that is in the amount of $51,070.24. Any comments or questions? Hearing none,
Motion to approve?
I will second.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Powell?
Aye. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Are there any questions for items on the agenda? No questions for items on the agenda. Do we have any questions for items not on the agenda?
Always.
Nothing online. Colin Dockerman, we have a microphone there, sir. If you'd feel free to grab that.
Honestly, all you can do is talk with this. There's no fee for that.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
he should be able to get.
I'm sure I can project enough. Colin
Yeah.
Dockman, Vernon Township, Laurie, as I'm sure, Scotty, you know, contrary to the spelling. So the 911 outages, the couple of times that's happened recently, I just wondered if you could speak to, if you have any understanding of the nature of those outages, because that's kind of a big deal. The nature of those outages and how we can avoid them going forward.
So I can speak to the last one, the most recent one. There was actually a line that was cut during, I believe it was one of the railroad companies, cut into a line unsuspectingly, took out the system. So when they were looking at the wires above head, there was nothing inherently visible until they realized that somebody had clipped the line and essentially taken out the service. Had nothing to do with the infrastructure failing or anything like that. It truly took out the whole line, and it took them a little bit to find. So to stop that one, it's call before you dig, right? I mean, there's a number for that.
And I guess there's no sort of backup way of doing 911 if
Not at this time.
okay.
We've been looking at redundancies, but not at this time.
When is the next One Ohio meeting?
We just had one.
Oh, okay. All right. I need to get up to speed. I was on vacation.
Yeah, so we just had a One Ohio meeting. That would have been last Tuesday. Essentially with One Ohio meeting, and this is for Region 9, Colin. I'm not on the statewide One Foundation. I know there's been a lot of questions about One Ohio and who's involved and why they're involved and why the people aren't involved. At this point, and I'll just give some history, political subdivisions are the ones that sued the drug distributors, the drug companies. The political subdivisions are the ones that created the One Ohio plan and signed on to it. Right now, there is some criticism throughout the state that there's not enough people represented on these boards that are connected to recovery, that are not connected to the treatment world, that are not connected to harm reduction. Right now, we're not even close to talking about funding mechanisms. We're truly standing up the structure of the boards, standing up bylaws of even what's a quorum, how often do we meet, how do we accept applications. The goal with these boards is to, and right now in our region, I think we have one person that's not a governmental person, but they were appointed by a governmental entity, and that's Bambi Braun, who is a CAO director out of Highland County. And she's also our representative to the foundation board as well in Columbus. So we're working through getting guidance from the AG's office. They assigned Dinsmore and Scholl to be our legal counsel to help with a lot of these questions that, quite honestly, so we get this money, it's connected to One Ohio, with little to no guidance. It was Brian Davis that even recommended through CCAO how to potentially set up the boards or how we choose to even send representation, because that wasn't even really recommended or spelled out. It was just kind of up for the regions to figure out. Our region chose to do a representative from the county, a representative from a township. It happens to be Ted Adams from Porter Township, and then a representative from the city, who's John Haas, or the largest subdivision. So that's what it currently is. Doesn't mean it doesn't change. Right now, we're just truly trying to set up the structure to even operate. Money is not flowing. I don't see when money could start flowing, because the foundation in Columbus is still not set up. They're still trying to go through some articles of incorporation. It's a big lift in terms of what they're trying to do. They're wanting to hire an executive director to help with some of this, nonprofit standing. So yeah, there's been a lot of settlements happen. There's no money flowing yet. The first batch of money, in my understanding, will actually go to the subdivisions. There's a percentage that hits the subdivisions first, the individual subdivisions, and they'll get whatever their settlement was. And then once the regions are fully operational and the One Ohio Foundation is fully operational, then we'll start advertising and talking about, hey, how can nonprofits, how can groups, how can governments tap into this money? I'm sure it'll be an application grant style process. The reality is right now, our region is going to essentially be dealing with $1.3, $1.4 million a year that will be spread out over 8 counties for our region. So right now, we're just building the mechanisms for groups, harm reduction, treatment centers, education, whatever it is, whatever project people bring to, just how to submit it. You know, and then once they do submit it, and then the board reviews and looks at it and approves it, it still goes to the One Ohio board to ensure that it meets the MOU that the One Ohio is set up, and basically the AG's office. It's making sure that it meets the standard for the settlement language. So our next meeting, Colin, is not set.
Okay.
We have a group of 3 folks spread out over different counties. Nobody from our county that is working with Dinsmore and Shoal on the bylaws for our region, for Region 9. Once those bylaws are created, we'll reconvene to review those as a group and vote one way or the other, or to address them or whatever. So
It does strike me, you know, with anything, it is important, with any decision making, it is important to have people that are directly affected. So I certainly hope, as you figure that out, what that looks like, that there are those people in the room.
yeah, and I can see there will be. I mean, ideally they'll be coming and pitching ideas of how to spend this money. But I can see long term, once the structures are set up, I can see different counties, townships, cities being comfortable with appointing someone else that's not a political person, if you will. But right now, there's a lot of unknowns, and since the governments are the ones that sue these groups and settled, I think there's a vested interest in really all the different political subdivisions to make sure the system is at least set up and they're involved in that piece. And I think once there's a comfort level, you're more likely to see other entities that are appointed to these boards. And I guess the other part of that is some of those entities are going to have to be very mindful, because it's going to be hard to sit on a board and at the same time request money from the board you serve on. So there could be some conflicts of interest there tied to it as well.
Certainly people that would be considered experts but not actually have their hands in it financially. Just one real quick follow-up on that. Is there a way to obtain the meeting minutes or actually view the meeting?
No, we haven't streamed that. We're actually still getting guidance from legal if they're considered open meetings or not, to be honest with you. Right now, we have meeting minutes that are essentially the motion and the vote, but in terms of like word for word what everybody said, that hasn't been documented. So there are votes of who did what, and which motions were taken, but, there's still questions that we have, and I think many boards have, is it public? Is it not? We don't know. And there lies the issue, Colin, because we're not getting a ton of guidance. We're saying, hey, have meetings, send somebody to Columbus, and then when we go and start these meetings, we haven't gotten a lot of guidance yet from Columbus, from the AG's office. The first meeting, we had a representative from CCAO, a policy person that she knows a lot, but just this last meeting, our attorney was there. But that's just because they were appointed after we had our first meeting. So there's a lot of work that's going to happen here. There's a lot of work going to happen with One Foundation Board, a lot of work. It's a big lift for what they're doing. So I'm a little skeptical of how soon we start seeing money flow through the regions and through the state plan.
Last thing, if I may.
Yeah, you're fine.
So, meeting notice in regards to these, whenever you guys rolled this out, it was with the notion of making it accessible to different neighborhoods, and that evening slot, that goes a long way too. Where are you guys printing notice of these evening meetings?
We give it to all the papers, we get radio station, everything is in our area,
Do they
we send
print
it
it?
to, we put it on Facebook,
I did not see notice of this on Facebook. I had to actually go back to the meeting to find it.
Okay.
So, well, no, I'm just saying, so it might be better advertised.
Yeah.
So that people
No.
know.
Any other comments or questions, Alan and Jimmy?
That's it. Anybody?
Anything? Porter?
We just want to say, I'm taking my Porter hat off and my OSU hat on. What's going on Fifth and Court, we're very excited about that. People are very excited about the options moving over. We're excited about the educational learning space going to be available to that, for the updated kitchen area and stuff like that. So we are excited about that. So we thank you on behalf of OSU for your cooperation and work on that project.
It's always been a very good and strong relationship with the OSU Extension. I think this elevates that. And quite honestly, it elevates the extension's visibility.
Yeah.
It's hard to be visible when you're in the basement of the courthouse.
Yes.
So to get you out there on the main street.
You'd be surprised how many people find us though.
Well, I know. And you guys do good work through the many different programs. So we're excited about the program and what it means for that location and really what it means for you guys. I think you can expand your projects and your programs quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to seeing how quick that can get completed.
Well, on the behalf of Porter, we're glad that you came tonight. We really enjoyed this. Had this been something that I went to town to watch, I probably wouldn't be there. But because you're here in this little community, I'm here, and I've enjoyed it.
And we appreciate your hospitality. For future townships, I will say that Porter provided us some great snacks and some refreshments. No pressure wherever we're going next, but thank you for your hospitality
Yes.
and opening up your doors and your facility to us.
We all should work together to serve our area, and that's what we're trying
That's
to do.
right.
With that, any additional comments?
Just to add my thanks to Porter tonight. As I said just a second ago, gracious host to the commissioners. We thank you for this wonderful treatment. And we've been in meetings all day and traveling all day and come in and we've got some homemade desserts and coffee and tea. And I just want to thank you personally. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
The last thing I will add, we were fortunate today to join the governor at the governor's mansion for the signing of the bill that provides $500 million to Appalachia. It's historic funding to our area, 32 counties. They have an aggressive rollout plan for that. They hope to have the bill was signed today. Department of Development hopes that we have some guidelines and some structure within that program within the next 30 days. They're really highlighting cooperation, not just within the community, but regionally for some of the projects. So we're looking forward to energizing our region and finding projects that benefit all of us. But it was a good day for Appalachia, it was a good day for Ohio, and the $500 million is greatly needed in this region. We don't see this ever.
It's a story.
And we may never see it again, so we need to make sure we're putting forth our best projects that make the largest impact to the community. So I want to thank Representative Baldridge, Senator Johnson, of course, Governor DeWine for putting the bill through and signing the bill. It was a great day, and it's encouraging to see the type of energy and support for Southern Ohio. So with that, I have no other comments. Nothing?
The only thing I might say is I want to thank Governor DeWine and his wife, Fran, for hosting us. It was well turned out, and they showed us the grounds. It was, I don't know if you can just go in there and
I don't know that you can just walk into their house.
no, but I'm just wondering.
I think it's open towards every once in a while.
Every once in a while, and it's well worth doing that. It's history. The grounds. We found out today that past Governor Taft's wife is over all of the gardening. The garden. They don't have anyone doing that except this group of ladies, and they come and they're beautiful. And so it was an amazing day. Thanks to the governor and his wife for hosting us as well.
And we will still be having our regular commissioners meeting on Thursday at 9:30 in our office.
Thank you for that. With that, did we get a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
All right, can I have one?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Mr. Powell?
Aye. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great week. We will see you Thursday.